there's an obscure thing that we're not pointing to that saved this game and made.
Let's talk about it.
That play. I thought the Niners caught a huge break. Think about that drive. Seattle's going extended drive on the 49ers at that point. They're moving the ball down the field. I'm on the binoculars. I'm looking at the players on defense. They got their hands on their hip, their hands on their thigh pads, which is the international unspoken language of I'm gassed.
I'm exhausted.
Right. And what happens at the end of that long drive? It was the offensive lineman, Austin Blythe, went down with an injury. And so there was a stoppage, and the 49ers were not going to call a timeout because they had already kind of wasted some timeouts. So they didn't have a timeout to take there. So they were just going to gamble that their defense could get a hold, and their defense was gassed. Yeah. But what happens is Blythe goes down with the injury. They go away to the commercial.
Took a long time.
Guys are getting water. Guys are wiping off their sweat. Guys are regrouping and getting a chance to catch their breath.
It's true.
The very next play, it was the illegal man downfield penalty against Seattle. So that took it down to 2nd and 14. And then Geno throws a fade at Metcalf, or to Metcalf against Charvarius.
Hit him in the face! Hit him in the face!
Yeah.
Charvarius Ward couldn't make a play on the ball, hit DK Metcalf in the face. Oh, yeah. This was the game.
So now it's 3rd and 14 from the 19-yard line. And I thought this was a great – now, I don't know if this was D'Amico's call, if this is Chris Koseric's call, but they lined up in what was 3 guys overloaded to the defensive right side. And you had Ebukam by himself lined up at the defensive left end spot. And what they did was Ebukam took an inside move, took the interior guard with him. Amenihue, it was an ET stunt, and the end went first. And Amenihue was playing defensive tackle, looped around, and he had a bad angle on the quarterback. He wasn't getting there, and he just.
But then Geno stepped up, totally oblivious,
down by his waist, and he swiped at it, popped it out. Sat on the ground for a second. Bosa jumps on it, and the place erupted. I mean, it erupted so much at the press box, I could feel the shaking of the stadium in the press box.
There were a lot of people cheering in the press box. It used to be there was no cheering in the press box, but it seems like that rule is not enforced.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rookies in the press box.
It's true.
There's a lot of cheering. But as far as that play, it reminded me of the Super Bowl against the Ravens, where the 49ers had an old Ravens defense gassed at the end, and Harbaugh couldn't get the play called. They called the timeout.
Oh, yeah.
And Bernard Pollard and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, all these guys playing like their last NFL games, and they got a chance to towel off and water up and, tighten the belt and tighten your shoes and get ready and focus. And they got their big defensive stand, and the Ravens win the Super Bowl. Never, ever, ever, ever call a timeout on offense at the end of a drive, especially in the second half after a long drive. And that's what Seattle did. And it allowed the 49ers to rev it up, take a second, catch their breath, and then Amenihue and Bosa came up with the play of the game.
So Austin Blythe went down. That's huge. But then the next play, the ineligible man downfield on a 7-yard throw. Like, how did you get downfield on a 7-yard throw to Tyler Lockett? But they did somehow. And then it was 2nd and 14. Like, it should have been 3rd and 2 from the 7.
Right.
Instead, it's like, what did you do? And again, so did the Niners adjust? Yeah, their offense did. That 8-minute drive at the beginning of the third quarter was freaking amazing. But did the Niners defense adjust? I don't know. Austin Blythe got hurt. There was an ineligible man downfield, and then Geno Smith. Seattle just wasn't good enough. But I'm concerned about all these other teams coming up because they're all better than Seattle, and the Niners defense is really concerning me. What the hell was that? And then after that, Seattle folded, and the Niners were great after that.
And then Lenore got the pick.
Sure, and then it looked great. Play. But Seattle fell apart, and the Niners piled it on. But this was a game almost into the fourth quarter. That sack fumble was deep in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Man, what an amazing game. And it's like it was 41-23, so no one will ever remember it that way. It's like it didn't happen.
I know. Yeah, exactly. It'll be. It's like a footnote. The other thing that I think is really important, in that we talk about it every week, but it almost gets like redundant. turnovers. I don't know if you saw this stat. The 49ers, when they're even or positive on the year, 14-0. When they're down on the turnover ratio, 0-4.
Whoa! Okay, say it again. Say it again. Say it again.
When
For
the
people in
Niners
back.
are even or plus on the turnover margin at the end of the game, they're 14-0. When they're minus at the end of the game, they're 0-4.
That scares me. That scares me because no team. I just feel like eventually you have to win one game in a season where you don't win the turnover margin. One game. I'm sure the Niners can do it, but they haven't done it yet. And eventually they're going to face a team that doesn't beat itself. Kansas City.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. I would say the time for turnovers and living to fight another day have come and gone. The Seattle game, it was a clean game, but they probably could have won if there had been a turnover. But they're not beating anybody going forward if they're -2.
That's true.
So, they got to take care of the football. The one thing about Brock and the one thing about the Niners is, in this particular game, very clean game. Considering how wet the field was, very clean game. Very few penalties, no turnovers.
That being said, Kyle's getting a little pass happy with Brock. 19 passes in the first half. Didn't exactly work out. They got a little bit more balanced in the second half. And then Seattle quit, which always helps.